Coming to you live from the JRE Tobacco Aladino Mobile Studios, it's the Cigar Pulpit.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another sermon from the Cigar Pulpit. I'm Bishop of the Bird, Nick, and today we have Dave from the Smokin' Butts and Tappin podcast. How you doing, Dave?
Hello, I'm doing great. How are you doing, Nick?
I have.
Are you about to
I'm
throw some shit yet?
I'm good.
Gonna
Technology
punch a
is
hole
once
in your
again
smoke tent?
pissing me right the hell off.
Oh yeah.
And so you and I have gone through about 3 different video conferencing programs to get to this
Yes,
point.
we have.
Just to circle back to fucking Zoom. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't understand, it's like
I think Zoom pays for them to fuck their shit up.
Something. I mean, look, at some point I just have to acknowledge maybe it's me, but I
don't believe it.
I don't
I
know,
think between the
because
two of us we could figure it out.
yeah, I think so. Anyway, so today we're going to be getting nerdy with it.
Oh yeah.
Yes, we're getting nerdy with it. So as many of you might know, the Ask the Boys hotline back in, like, I don't know, when was that? November? I guess it was November, kind of shit the bed.
Something
And
like
so,
that.
yeah, and so it's one of those things where I I had a few calls come in after the fact, and I am trying to get them worked in, and one of them is a show. And so this is a question from friend of the show, Rino. He lives up in Maryland, and he's got a question. So he wants to get his son into comic books, and he thought he wanted to ask, or he wanted to ask someone who knew a lot about comics. And he says that he believes I'm an aficionado. I don't know. I mean, whatever. We just embrace the nerd,
That's
term.
right.
It's like, we're just nerds. And so anyway, his son is about 10 years old, and unfortunately he wanted to get his kid some comics for Christmas.
Ooh.
So
You
we're a
can't
little
just go do that.
well, we're a little past Christmas. However, I did message Reno today to confirm that it was him, because I'm doing this based off the voice transcript, which is horrible. Okay. And I did confirm that it was him, and he told me that his son is actually having his birthday this week. So it still works
Perfect.
out. It works out. Anyway,
you're not a failure, Nick. You're not a failure.
I'm not a complete failure. So anyway, he wanted to know if I had some suggestions. And I'm not gonna lie to you, Dave. You weren't the first call I made.
You son of a bitch.
No, I'm gonna be straight up honest with you.
Shit. No, it's fine.
I reached out to a friend of the show, Graham Nolan, because I figured,
I don't blame you.
Dude, he co-created Bane.
He's a professional.
He literally drew Detective Comics during Nightfall and Night's End and all that stuff. I mean, he co-created Bane. Yeah. I mean,
I'll take a second to that. That's fine.
But here's the thing: he lives in Buffalo, New York, and he smokes outside. And he's like, I can't smoke outside. So he opted to pass. You are a nerd. You draw. You read comics.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
I mean, you know a lot of all that and everything. You go to conventions and sell your artwork, so that makes you a level of professional, and everything. And
Sure.
You're still not smoking today.
Nope, because it's cold as balls here too. I don't even think my heater would keep up in the shed today.
I don't know. You're one of those little My Buddy, not the doll, the propane buddy heater things, don't you?
Yeah, it's like a propane bullet heater.
Yeah, that should be able to.
I mean, maybe.
Well, is it one of those things where it heats like
shit,
that's? Oh, okay, all right.
It's like a freaking blowtorch.
I'm out here in the Aladino Mobile Studios, Jerry Tobacco Aladino Mobile Studios, Ice 10 of Love, and I have only one window open because it is cold as hell today. When I was running around earlier, my car said it was 6, and that was balmy. So I was excited. But I'm out here, and I'm about to fire up a Perdomo 20th anniversary Sungrown Epicure. And so we're going to go ahead and get that going. And it's time to cut the cigar, and the official cutting is brought to you by Dan the Man Ponder over there at Riverman Cigar Company. And guys, I'm trying to figure out where my camera is. Camera's right there. Guys, Dan the Man Ponder over there at Riverman Cigar Company, he's got a nice selection of Perdomo cigars, including the 20th anniversary in the Sungrown. So, if you're looking to try this, you can reach out to Dan Ponder over there at Riverman Cigar Company, because he not only services people in store, but he also does mail order. So if you want to support a brick and mortar shop and you're not near one, you can always reach out to Dan. But he's got all kinds of other great cigars, including the full line of Aladino cigars, and he's gotten in a bunch of stuff. Well, he got in a bunch of stuff, I should say, in like November, December. It's kind of that slow period of time, so stuff's the replenishes are coming in, but like the newer stuff, that's on hold. But he's got a great selection of cigars, so you can always find something good over there at Riverman Cigar Company of Crestwood, Missouri. And so, like I said, if you're in the St. Louis area, visit. If you're not, call them up and do mail order. Riverman Cigar Company, Crestwood, Missouri. And with that, it's time I go ahead and cut my cigar. Dude, I'm feeling really out of practice.
Yeah, that was a long-winded intro.
That was long-winded, and it was stumbly and bumbly, and I'm feeling a little out of practice. Like, it's weird. Like, my brain is like triggering not right today. So I am. Yeah, that sentence alone didn't make sense. My brain is triggering not right. It's like
Yeah.
that didn't even really make sense. But anyway, so I'm going with the Perdomo here because I wanted a cigar that I didn't have to worry about giving intricate flavor notes and details and all kinds of stuff about, because that's not what we're about today. Today we're talking nerdy stuff. And
yes. And that's a go-to cigar to do that with.
I wanted a cigar that I could just fire up and enjoy. So if anybody's looking for an intricate review of the 20th anniversary, go online, because you're probably going to find a whole bunch of them, because it's not like it's a new cigar. So you'll be able to find them and get a better one than what I can give you while we talk nerdy stuff. So Dave, all right. Right off the bat, I'm going to talk to you about my mindset going into this.
Okay.
And I'm taking,
let's
hear it. For those of you who are listening and you're like, oh God, they're going to talk comic books the whole time. It's going to be a lot of comic book talk. So if you're not into that, whatever.
Fucking dorks.
But here's the thing. You might learn something. So just bear with us. I don't know if I got enough off when I cut it. I came into this with a mindset that at first I was thinking about just good comics,
Yeah.
And then I, about halfway through that list, kind of remembered, oh yeah, this is for a 10-year-old. So I probably should like throttle back some of the comics. And it's not that they're excessively, I'm not into smut comics. I'm not into like super gory, bloody, violent comics or anything like that. I mean, I do like some adult comic. And when I say adult, I mean like Sin City, for example. And for those of you who maybe have never seen the Sin City comics, Sin City movie, at least the first one, is very, very, very close to. I mean, it's almost like they filmed the comic. It's black and white and it's gritty and it's got some adult themes to it. Violence and whatever else and stuff. So, it's close to that. But I had to throttle back my thought process a little bit. Now you have children that are, or at least a child, right? You have kiddies in that range.
Yep, I have a 15-year-old and a 10-year-old, so been kind of in that area for a little while.
Okay, because see, my kid is 7, and he's not quite at the point where he is embracing the comics yet. So I don't really have anything that I can recommend from my own personal, childhood experience. I have stuff from my personal childhood experience, and that leads to a whole different conversation, and we'll get to in a second. So when I Googled comic book recommendations for 10-year-olds, it brought me to a whole lot of like manga and young adult graphic novels.
Yeah, you
which
can't
is an
find
area
anything,
that man. I totally don't know.
Yep.
So my personal experience, my preference tends to lie in the standard superhero. That's what I grew up with. That's what I really like. I have a
Oh
few
yeah.
on, I maybe have one or two on my list that are not that, but Reno, if your son is not into superheroes, then I may not necessarily be the biggest help. But Dave, let's start this out. Why don't you throw out one and I'll throw out one and we'll kind of go back and forth and talk.
I made a list, and I
Okay.
don't know why, but doing this podcast with you right now is zapping the shit out of my iPad battery. It
Oh,
was
yeah. If you don't
like
have your iPad plugged in to the power
so
somehow,
so it is plugged into my board,
yeah, if you don't
which
have it
should be
plugged
charging
in,
it.
well, that might be an issue.
Yep. So
Okay. So talk
you
fast.
know what? Let me just switch it up a second. Let me
Okay. We're gonna let Dave, do what he needs to do.
That's right.
And
Be right back.
you know what? In the meantime, you go ahead. You go ahead. In the meantime, why don't we talk about My Monthly Cigars? It's a premium cigar subscription service where you can get a variety of cigars sent to your door every month. It comes in a couple of different size boxes. I get the Robusto box. Dave gets the Robusto box. That's 4 cigars for $30. There's also the El Presidente box, which is 2 of everything that's in the Robusto box, so 8 cigars total for $50 a month. So you spend a little more to get more, and or save more, and so if it's a good way to try out different cigars. And if you're looking to do so and you want to sign up, use offer code Pulpit, Pulpit. That gets you free shipping on the first box. And it also, no, wait, I don't know. Nick, I think he had an online store. I don't know if he still does or not. I'll admit, I don't know. Used to get you 20% off your purchase in the online store as well. But I know it gets you free shipping on your first box of cigars from My Monthly Cigars. So while you're over there, check out the fucking good coffee and get that. We have the daily press, which is the pulpit plan. There's the lounge brand. I just had lounge coffee this morning, actually. So if you're doing that, check that out. It's mymonthlycigars.com. Are you better now, Dave?
I believe so. We're gonna improvise here. I switched to my AirPods instead of the fancy board.
Okay.
That's pretty much how it's gonna have to be. I don't know why it took my percentage down like 60% in the last 30 minutes, but
Because
whatever.
Zoom is a monster. That's the problem. Like I have mine permanently plugged into the power strip while I run Zoom because like otherwise,
Gotcha.
man, it'll eat the fucking battery, something fierce.
Yep.
So
I thought my soundboard would be charging my iPad to keep up with that, but it's not. So here we are. Improvising.
More troubles with technology. It's been nothing but trouble with technology
it's this
here
freaking
with
weather. I'm blaming it on the
today.
weather.
I will go ahead and do that. All right. So going back to the comic books, now that we've gotten the business out of the way, MMC ads out of the way, we can move on from that. Let's go to the comic books. So what is your first? You said you made a list. So let's start with your list. And I made a list as well. So let's start with your list and then we can go.
My list is probably going to be more of a generalization because I started making a list of stuff that I like and got into early, like
same
Avengers West Coast and X-Men. But looking back, those comics kind of look like crap. And like printing wise,
I know I have such a nostalgia for that though.
I do too.
But again,
man,
that's me, a 42-year-old man, having a nostalgia for comics that came out when I was a kid. Now, what's a 10-year-old kid these days going to look at and say like, "Holy shit, that's awesome"? Yeah.
Yeah. The first one I'm going to throw out, which I've read quite a few issues, and the art is fantastic. It's just always good. Is Sonic the Hedgehog.
I'm so glad you put that on your list. I'm so glad because I had it. So, admittedly, I ran by Barnes and Noble today to kind of look over the graphic novel section and kind of, get the gears turning a little bit. And I saw it there, but I've never read it. And so, because I've never read it, I didn't feel right recommending it, but I've heard good things about it, but I didn't know. So, okay. So, tell us about
pretty good. It's pretty good. Like, it's just, good, fun writing. Nothing, that kids shouldn't be reading, which there is a ton of comic books that kids should not be reading. A lot of people aren't going to realize that.
No, that's true. And some of them look like good old kitty comics, but they're not kid comics,
Yes, I'm going
that
to go
sort of
ahead and
deal.
give an example of that one right now.
Okay.
Two of them. In fact, one of them's a super hot comic right now called Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, which is
Oh,
like anamorphic people. And
yeah.
apparently it's about some serial killing animal in this like
Okay.
happy go lucky, animal world.
Yeah.
And the second one came out a few years ago and was supposed to go to Netflix. I don't know if it's still going to, called Stray Dogs. And it's about a bunch
Okay.
of like stray dogs, and this guy is keeping them, and turns out he's a serial killer. So I
Oh
don't know what it
shit.
is with animals and serial killers right now, but it's making for
Um,
good comic book material.
did you see the movie Strays with the
Yeah,
dogs that talk?
yeah,
Because at one point there was a dog in that who like revealed that his owner was like a serial killer.
yeah. Who knows?
Like
That
I
could
don't know what's going on. You're right.
that could have been the
Um,
inspiration.
I'll tell you another one that's not appropriate for children. Reno, we are going off the freaking rails like right off the bat. The Unfunnies by Mark Millar.
I haven't I haven't seen that one.
Look into that. That's early Mark Miller, Mark Millar, Mark Miller. I don't quite know how to print. Yeah, that's early Mark Miller work. And let me tell you, uh, it's fucked up, dude. It's really, really messed up. Anyway, those are not for your kid, Reno.
No.
We're only saying Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, the nice thing about Sonic is that theoretically, I don't know if Reno's kid plays video games or not, but that would be a nice transition from the video games to the comics. You get the Sonic the Hedgehog character.
Yep, probably already familiar with the characters, so
Yeah.
be a
So you
great
go from
comic to
there.
start with.
So I'm going with my first one. I'm going with one. It's oh god, I don't even know how old it is. It's probably coming up 20 years old. It may not be 20 years old, but it's coming up that if it's not. Shazam: The Monster Society of Evil by Jeff Smith.
I haven't
It
read that.
was it was a four-part Shazam book from DC Comics. So, Reno, if your son is familiar with the movies at all, with Zachary Levi, um, it's Billy Batson, and he gets the powers of Shazam, and he becomes Captain Marvel, and blah blah blah, and he fights Mr. Mind, the little mind manipulating worm that whatever giant robots. His sister Mary Marvel gets powers. It's a great, fun, good comic for kids, and the artwork in it is phenomenal. Like
Nice.
which actually I'm going to go ahead and give a second one real quick since we're on this subject.
Go for it, man.
Um, since we're talking Jeff Smith, I mean, obviously, Bone is like a
Oh
must.
yeah. I can't believe I
Bone
didn't think of that.
Bone is like a fucking must for kids, dude. Like honestly, this book is it's phone book. It's a tome. I mean, it's phone book size, but it's what you would get if you had maybe like three kind of Looney Tune-ish looking characters dropped into a valley, and they're having to fight like rat creatures, and it's kind of Lord of the Rings-ish, and you've got princesses, and there's the great annual cow race. And so it's funny, and it's adventure, and it's, I mean, seriously, if your kid likes Lord of the Rings or is interested in any of that kind of stuff, Bone is a fantastic book. Now, I do think Bone, somehow or another, I don't know why, made it onto some school banned book lists or something like
That's
that,
insane.
which is totally insane because it has won so many library awards and all kinds of other shit. So, Reno, if you're taking our recommendations and doing further research on them for your son before you go out and purchase anything, don't pay attention to what they say about Bone if it's anything negative. Bone is the one of the best books. It's just Bone, Bone, and it's so great. So give
I
Bone a
agree.
chance. Yes.
That's right.
So okay. So my first two: Shazam and the Monster Society of Evil by Jeff Smith. Also Bone by Jeff Smith.
Heck
What
yeah.
else you got?
There you go. So my second one's going to be really uh, an artist slash writer. Like,
Oh, you're
and
going for the creator route, like
yep,
anything they've done, kind of thing.
yep, because everything he does is geared towards kids.
Okay.
And I actually met the dude in Metropolis a couple years back. He's super nice guy, just like
Mm-hmm.
a big kid basically. And
Okay.
his name is Art Baltazar. He,
Yes, Tiny
he
Titans.
yeah, and he actually does Itty Bitty Hellboy,
Oh,
which
nice.
is awesome. Everything he
Okay.
does, man, is fun and good for children. And you
I
don't have
think
to
he's out
worry
of
about anything.
Chicago. I think he
Yeah,
lives in
he's
Chicago.
local,
Yeah.
local-ish to me anyway.
Ish. Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, so without Art Baltazar, you've got, like I said, Tiny Titans. You're saying Itty Bitty Hellboy. He's done he's done a
he's done a
handful of different stuff.
ton of stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so he kind of has like
Done
a crayon kind of
yeah. Actually, yeah,
simpler art style.
he did a little sketch for me of Green Goblin with a
Yeah,
crayon
nice,
in like 4 seconds.
nice,
It's pretty fun.
nice. See,
Yeah, he did a Superman of Smallville run and some other
see
stuff too.
that's exactly that's it. That's perfect stuff right there. Now, some of this stuff, I'm looking at my list and I'm like, man, I may have skewed a little old. But then again, I have to also remember my first comic. I got my first comic in 1988, and it was Batman number 423. Okay. And that comic is the one that features the Todd McFarlane cover where he's on the cliff, Batman's on the cliff, and he's got the big billowing cape, and he's holding the woman, and it's got the red background and everything. That was my
Oh
first
yeah.
comic, okay? That
Wow, that's
comic is like a one and done issue, meaning the whole story is contained in that one issue. You don't have to read any other issues. It's all in that one. And it's basically people telling stories about encountering Batman. And I mean, dude, like one of them, he's like helping these homeless kids, and they swear they saw Batman cry, and they're like, Batman doesn't cry. And then there's like another story in there where it talks about this guy that like broke into a diner and was holding the diner at gunpoint, and like Batman's like going up on the dude and like just rage filled, like coming up on this dude holding the gun on him and everything. And so like I read that and I was reading, that was my first one, and I was 6 going on 7 years old. Okay. And then from there, the sky, it opened up. The sky was the limit. I was buying my comics at the grocery store, the magazine rack at the grocery store. And the thing about that is I didn't have a gatekeeper telling me, oh, that's not for 7-year-olds, that's not for 8-year-olds. I mean, my parents obviously would, flip through it and see if it's whatever. But dude, it was Marvel and DC,
yeah.
and it was what it was. And so like I didn't they Marvel and DC, just kind of going along what you and I were just talking about, comics that had mature themes to the writing but not necessarily to the imagery. Like I I kind of had to, like, I learned, I encountered things that maybe my 7 and 8 year old, 6, 7, 8-year-old brain wasn't quite at the level of,
Yeah.
but it could get there. And I don't think that's a bad thing. Stan Lee
No.
used to always talk about the vocabulary that he used in his comics, and how he would write using big words, because what's the worst that would happen? The kids would go and find a dictionary and look it up,
Right.
you know and to my, like, I think it's great. I think reading comics, it's one of those nice things kids can do. It does, promote reading, promote their vocabulary skills and everything. And I don't think it's a bad thing to aim a little higher. So like some of my picks are going to aim a little higher than perhaps a 10-year-old. And so the only thing I would say to Reno and anybody else that might be listening to this with the same thought in mind is maybe flip through it, read it a little bit yourself, and see what you think before you give it to your kid. But or read it with your kid and whatever. But I mean, let's not dumb it down for the kids either. I mean, let's throw out some red meat along with the fun stuff.
That's
Like
right.
I like Bone's a great comic, but I'll also say, what else is a great comic that I think would be really fun for a kid? Hawkeye by Matt Fraction.
Okay.
You know, have you read that?
Nope, I have not.
So if anybody has seen the Hawkeye show on Disney Plus or has seen anything about Hawkeye in like the Avengers movies, but specifically that Hawkeye show on Disney Plus,
Mhm.
it borrowed a lot from the Matt Fraction Hawkeye book. That's where you got the tracksuit mafia guys that are calling each other
Yep.
bro all the time and everything. That's where you find out that Hawkeye is deaf and like read lips and has the uh hearing aids, you know, to help him hear and all that. So he's not completely deaf, but he's very very seriously hearing impaired. And but some of the artistic things they do in that book to show, you know, the sign language and everything, it's so good. So I think Hawkeye by Matt Fraction is an awesome read, and I don't think it would be too much for a 10-year-old, but I do think that maybe dad should look it over before he goes. And there's nothing, I don't, there's no like, I mean, there's some violence, but there's not like it. And I don't think I have anything that has like nudity or any sort of like sexual crap or anything in it. I think it's just at best violence.
Yeah,
So,
I think overall, just sticking with Marvel or DC to start with
mm-hmm.
is you're not going to go wrong. I mean, they don't
No,
allow anything crazy.
no, it doesn't
I,
get super crazy at Marvel
yeah,
and DC because they're owned by freaking Disney and Warner Brothers. They're not
that's
gonna
right.
go out on a limb and like, you know, have Batman go and like shoot up a old folks home or anything wacky like that.
That's
I mean,
right.
like they're gonna keep it pretty tame. So because these are billion-dollar brands that they don't want to, you know, fuck up.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah. So yeah. Okay. All right. So I've so far thrown out like three. I've thrown out Hawkeye by Matt Fraction, Shazam the Monster Society of Evil and Bone. You've thrown out Art Baltazar, anything by him, which would, like you said, Itty Bitty Hellboy, Tiny Titans, you know, anything by him, and then Sonic the Hedgehog. So
You
I'll
got
let
it.
you go
You
again.
got
I'll
it
let
good.
you go
Okay.
again so we can
All right.
keep up.
The next one I'm gonna throw out there is kind of it was a surprise to me as well. Like I I was old enough to not hit the demographic, point at this time in my life. But it was Power Rangers. You know,
Yeah, that was not something I ever got into, but okay.
I know me neither. But a couple years ago, like I have a friend that's way into that, and he was recommending Power Rangers comics to the kids and stuff. And so I started buying them because they actually had shiny covers for a while. Like the
Oh,
helmets were all shiny and they were really pretty covers. But
okay.
I started buying them, and then I started reading them. And man, they are so good, dude. Like
Okay.
the Boom Studios run when they started in like 2000 whatever 17 or 18,
Uh-huh.
it was pretty freaking solid, and the artwork is stellar. And it was great all the way up until they split into two titles, which I did not continue following after that because it's just too much to care about.
Yeah. No, I get that.
But yeah, the
Which
Power
everything I'm
Rangers, the
recommending, by the way, comes in like a trade paperback. I'm not
yeah,
necessarily like saying go out and buy
yeah,
single issues.
me
So,
too. Yeah,
um,
there's really no point in that for a kid. And
not
just
really.
maybe to see if they like it or something. But
Yeah.
as far as reading, there's so many options nowadays.
And Reno, Free Comic Book Day is always the first Saturday in May. So if you
Yep.
go to like your local comic book shop, they will have a variety of titles available on it, typically on a table that you can go through, and they may tell you take one of whatever you want. They may tell you to take up to three. I mean, there might be limits of some sort, but like you should be able to go into any local comic book shop on the first Saturday in May and get anywhere between one and a whole stack of free comic books.
Yep. Should be able to if
Should
they're
be
a
able to.
respectable store. And
Yes.
I'm actually going
Yes.
to give my local store a shout out for that, which is Fox Comics and Games in Marion, Illinois. That's where I learned about Free Comic Book Day, like probably close to 10 years ago now when I started buying again. Like we went in there, I went with a buddy,
I feel
and
like,
it was just a sea of comic books. Like he
yeah.
orders a stack of every single issue available, and the only thing he asks is don't take anything you're not going to read.
There you
and
go. I like
and
that.
yeah, they have it separated like young readers, like normal everyday readers, and mature. So you don't get anything that you don't want to get.
There you go.
It's
Well, if we're
pretty
throwing out
legit.
shout outs to local shops, then I guess I should also throw out a shout out to the guys over at Comic Headquarters off of Telegraph in South County, Missouri, like South County, St. Louis, South St. Louis County, I should say. And those guys, actually, the owner there, he does a podcast called the Two Worlds Podcast, TOW Worlds Podcast. And every week he and his buddy get on there and they talk about what they've been reading that week and whatever. They give their opinions. You know, I know them, so I listen to I don't necessarily take their opinions to heart. It might be they may not like something that I like and whatever. It's kind of like a cigar podcast. It's like I might tell you Gurkha sucks, but you might like Gurkha. So hey, go for it, whatever. But anyway, but no, since we're shouting out local stores, I figured screw it,
Heck
I'll do
yeah,
that too.
might as well.
Okay, okay. Okay, so I talked about Free Comic Book Day in there. What did you throw out a third one? I can't remember now.
Yep,
I'm sorry.
Power Rangers.
Power Rangers. That's right. I was going to bring up the fact. Did you see that there's going to be a sequel to Godzilla versus Power Rangers?
I did read that today, actually.
There you go.
And yeah, I have not read that series, but man, there
Oh,
was the Turtles Power Rangers crossover was great.
Godzilla one, they have the paperback up at the Fairview Barnes and Noble. They had two copies of
Actually,
it there.
I think it's free on Prime if
Oh,
you have
there you
Prime.
go.
I think it is. Somebody else was telling me that they were reading it the other
Oh,
day,
well, there you
which
go.
is also a great deal nowadays, man. We have all these fancy apps that you can read all this stuff
So
on.
I have on my list Marvel Unlimited and DC. What is it?
Direct or whatever.
DC? No, it's DC Universe.
Yeah,
Marvel
DC
Unlimited
Universe.
and DC Universe. Dude, you can subscribe to both of those, and they I think either have monthly costs or an annual cost. It depending on how you want to pay, and like you do that, like if you have an iPad, I mean, even if your kid has an iPhone or a smartphone, that's fine. I personally prefer it on a pad, so it's a little bigger, but
Yep,
I have bad eyes, and anyway,
me
you
too.
there you go. But you could subscribe to those. I subscribe to both of them, and dude, they have so much content available. It's basically an annual pass to open up and read, for all intents and purposes, mostly whatever you want that Marvel or DC has put out in the last, like, I don't know, nearly 100 years of
Yeah.
combined. Yeah, I mean it's crazy. So yeah, you can, and it's not necessarily current. Like the stuff, the new issues that I think Marvel's what 6 months
6 months.
behind.
Yep.
6 months behind. DC, if you do like their ultra plan, I think it's only like a week behind if you do the ultra plan.
I haven't had
Um,
DC in years. I need to
yeah,
get back on that.
but that's the thing. I mean, like, if your kid's into reading digitally, those might be good uses of cash, and then it opens him up to everything. I mean, he has access to everything at that point.
Yep.
So, anyway, all right. So I'll let you go again.
Okay, I'll go again.
Why not?
Um, I'm just gonna say like anything Spider-Man. Like I I haven't ever read like a
Oh.
too mature Spider-Man story.
I can't say that.
Um,
Well, oh no, 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 no. There was that one. It was Spider-Man, like I think it's Rain, Reign.
I don't know
It was
that one.
basically the Dark Knight Returns version of Spider-Man. That was the one
Oh,
when they
okay.
revealed that Mary Jane had died after she died of radiation poisoning from encountering his radioactively charged jism all those years.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Steer clear of that one.
yeah, steer clear of that one, buddy. But
But
otherwise,
yeah.
yeah, Spider-Man.
I enjoy most of the Spider-Verse stuff that I've read. It's
Yeah,
all pretty
that's
good.
true.
Like,
The new movies have come out. You got the Miles Morales character that's out there and everything.
Yeah, Miles Morales is probably my favorite character created in the last 20 years. Yeah, it's got to be. It's pretty awesome. I love the movies, love the comics that I've read.
Now, see,
Good
this is
stuff.
where I'm going to come across as the old man because I have Spider-Man on my list, but I specifically have the Spider-Man by Lee Ditko, which is Amazing Spider-Man 1 through number 38, and then Lee and John Romita, which is 39 through 95. So I have the first 95 issues of Spider-Man on my list. Um, but dude, that's like where so much good stuff is introduced. I mean,
Yeah, that would
so
be good
that
reading material to go back to, maybe.
I would agree with that because that's the thing. That's one of those things where a 10-year-old might be a 10-year-old in 2024 might not engage the same way with a comic that was produced in the 60s as
Right.
somebody older would. So yeah, which
Yeah,
along those
I
lines,
even struggle myself with some of the older stuff. Like,
dude,
I mean, I appreciate it and I love it, but it's kind of hard to read some of
while we're
it.
on that subject, the next one I want to bring up is the Fantastic Four by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. That's issues 1 through 102. But I specifically want to call out the Galactus trilogy, which is issues 48 through 50. That's where Silver Surfer is introduced and Galactus and the Watcher are both introduced. I mean, it's like, that's a huge storyline for Marvel history. But yeah, I mean, that came out in like what? The 60s, early 60s, So, and going back to the very beginning of the Fantastic Four, like 1 and 2 and like the early issues before, I think they got their costumes, I think, in issue 3. Issue 5 is when Doctor Doom was introduced, but I mean, like, it's rough. Those early ones are
Yeah,
for a person of this time, it's rough to go back and read those sometimes. And so, um, yeah, it's different, but I will say there's a historical importance with those first 100 issues of Fantastic Four, not just because the Lee Kirby run is one of the longest ones that went on, but also, um, dude, there's so much Marvel Universe stuff that was introduced in those 100 issues that other writers and artists have come along, picked up and ran with and like fleshed out and created. Like Black Panther and Wakanda was introduced in the Fantastic Four. The Inhumans were introduced in the Fantastic Four. Namor the Submariner came back from World War II in the Fantastic Four. Doctor Doom and Nile. There's so much that came out. So many of the cosmic characters came out in the Fantastic Four. I mean,
oh yeah,
it was like the place to like. It was the foundation. It was totally the foundation of everything Marvel
yep,
sprung out of the Fantastic Four. So
you are
you know,
correct.
it's one. It has a place in history. So anyway, that's
Anyway,
that. Those are my two Marvel historic ones. I'm checking them
yes,
off as I
that
go.
was
By
a
the way.
good nerd rant, Nick. That
Okay.
was a very, very good nerd rant. But yeah,
Oh,
that may be something to
there's a
go back
lot of
to.
nerd rant.
Yeah, if they become interested in comics, that's all must read stuff.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You got
Now,
to get them hooked first.
if you're looking for a contemporary Fantastic Four, anything written by Mark Waid and drawn by Mike. Oh fuck, I'm gonna butcher his like. It's like Wiendo. It's like I think it's Wiendo. Uh, he goes by he signs his art or he signed his art Ringo, Michael Ringo, why Ringo? I don't know. Anyway,
I know.
um, those are from the probably early 2000s. Fantastic, fantastic run of Fantastic Four, like
Nice.
amazing comics. So yeah, the Mark Waid Fantastic Four and the Mark Waid Daredevil that he did with Chris Samney. I think it was Chris Samney.
Yeah, that was good.
Or maybe that was that Black Widow that he did with Chris Samney? I don't know. Mark Waid did a run of Daredevil that was freaking amazing too. So anyway, sorry,
Heck
that's
yeah.
my Mark Waid endorsement. So
Okay. Well, the next
okay,
one I'm going to throw out there is you really just have to buy this one in like omnibus or trade paper form or digital. is The Wizard of Oz by Scotty Young. Is pretty incredible run of comics, and it's kind of what got me back into comics. Because I love The Wizard of Oz, not necessarily the movie everybody knows, but the actual original story.
Because that
And
comic's based off of the novel, the like story, not necessarily
yes, it's kind of
not the
like a
movie.
hybrid. It's kind of a hybrid of both. It's more of
Okay.
a fun, easygoing story,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of it's based in the original book lore. Very good, very good. Art's fantastic, of course, because he's awesome.
Yeah.
But I don't like his baby stuff as much. But
See, I like
before he
his
was doing the
baby Marvel
babies,
stuff.
I mean, it's cool and all, but I
Yeah.
like that whole period of when he was doing Oz. Like,
There's a
it's very good.
guy who did a book called Mini Marvels, and it's like miniature. It looks like miniature cartoony versions of the Marvel superheroes. And he actually is one of the creators and I get designer or whatever of there's a cartoon show on PBS called Xavier Riddle and the Secret Museum or something like that. And
Huh,
he in a previous work life prior to doing this cartoon on PBS, he did Mini Marvels, and that was a really
that's
good book.
cool.
I really like that a lot. He also did like it was like Franklin Richards. He had a Franklin Richards book that was kind of drawn the same way. It was really fun too. Which
Nice.
Franklin Richards, for those of you who don't know, is the son of Mr. Fantastic and the Invisible Woman from the Fantastic Four. Anyway,
Yeah. It all
nerd
goes back
alert.
to the Fantastic Four.
It does. It
Oh,
does.
goodness.
I feel like I should be doing this in my comic book guy voice, being
Please
like,
don't do that.
okay,
Do not do that.
really? You don't want me to do that?
No.
Like this next one, I could just be like, so the next book on my list is The Life and Times of Uncle Scrooge. It's actually The Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck. Have you ever read this?
No, but I would.
Fuck, dude. The Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck. It is amazing. You can get it. I have a hardcover version, a copy. It's one tome. You can get it on Amazon. Um, it is everything that DuckTales is based on, dude. It is like
Oh, sweet.
it is the life of Uncle Scrooge. It talks about him going to the Yukon and painting for gold and how he gets his fortune and all this kind of wacky shit. It is so the like honestly, if anybody wants to read some really quality comics, the Uncle Scrooge and Donald Duck, like Don Rosa and a couple. Who was the other artist? Don Rosa is the one that pops to mind. Comics. The Donald Duck and Uncle Scrooge books are awesome. Like they're so fun, and they're good for kids, but they're full of adventure, full of fun. There's some really like some really good like little adult jabs that kind of come in there too. I mean, like they're good
Nice.
comics. They're really, really good. But yes, The Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck is an amazing, amazing book.
Sweet. I'll
You
have
got
to
anything
check that
else?
out, man. I need to borrow that from you if you don't mind. Read.
It's in my storage unit, but I'm sure I can find it.
Well, one of these years, maybe,
Yeah,
when
I
you
know.
get
One
through
of
all
these,
that,
we're gonna have to
or
like
if you find it for sale anywhere, I would buy
dig
that.
through, dig through the storage unit.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
mm-hmm.
What's next on my list?
Oh,
Um, so I'm gonna start going a little more mature if
that's
if
fine.
you're comfortable with your kid,
That's
like
fine.
reading like
Yeah.
younger teen type stuff.
Okay,
Um,
that's good
I
because I'm kind of at that
really,
point myself.
yeah, I really, really like Lock and Key. It's freaking awesome. It's an awesome story for
I've never
anyone.
read that. Did they ever do the Netflix show?
Oh yeah, dude, it's
I haven't
great.
seen it. Okay, so that's a
Oh
show
my
on
god, dude,
Netflix.
you got to watch that today. Like just
Oh
watch it.
shit.
No, it's really good. They
Okay.
did 2 or 3 seasons. I think they did 2
Really?
seasons. Yeah, it's super good, and the book's even better.
All
I
right.
mean,
Well,
it's just awesome.
I'll have to add that to my viewing
Yeah,
list.
it's kind of like a little bit of more scary vibe to it, kind of
Yeah.
creepy, but nothing, crazy. I would
Okay.
let my kid read it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
he watched the show. We
I
all
don't know if
watched the
that
show.
says anything though, Dave.
Yeah, well,
um, okay. Well, cool. I'll have to look at that because I didn't even know about that. So,
Yeah, it's
um,
good.
okay. Um, so yeah, so my next three are probably younger teen kind of right on that line. You know, it's that right on that line. Check to see how what your comfort level is with it, but we can go from there. But my first one in that is Batman: The Long Halloween. If there's a Batman book that I would
Yeah.
recommend to damn near anybody, it's Batman: The Long Halloween. 12 issues. The whole concept is there's a killer who's going after mobsters, and he always strikes on the holiday of the various month. And he's actually the holiday killer, and so every month, each issue is themed around the specific holiday of that month, and the killer strikes on that month. And I mean, it's Jeff Loeb, Tim Sale, some of the best artwork you can come up with, and it features practically every Batman villain of any notable inclusion in it. Um, it's just great. It's just a great who done it kind of mystery story. And so yeah, Batman: The Long Halloween. I highly recommend.
Yep, it's a good one. I'm not even a Tim Sale fan,
Oh,
really,
I love Tim
but
Sale. I was so sad when he passed away.
he's very stylized. Like I
He is.
appreciate his artwork more now than I
Mm-hmm.
did when that came out. But that is a really good story. Good stuff, man.
I liked it a lot
Good
better.
stuff.
There is a sequel called Dark Victory where they introduce Robin. I'm not as big of a fan of that, but
Yeah, I never read
but
that.
but the Long Halloween is really really good.
Sweet. Heck yeah, what's next on my list? Oh,
I don't
I'll throw out one that's not on my list that I really enjoyed. Um,
not
was
on
the
your list.
Yeah, the Teen Titans from like 2004 ish when they
The
started over
Jeff
on with
Johns.
number one. Yeah, Jeff
Yep.
Johns. That was a super solid
The only thing
story.
the only thing that I would say about that is that I feel like relatively early on that kind of got mired down in all the like Infinite Crisis and the big crossover shit. And that's
Yeah,
kind of the big problem that I have with Marvel and DC, especially these days when they're doing crossovers like every 3 months, they've got a company line crossover where like it's hard to get momentum for stories when suddenly the book has to somehow tie into whatever giant company wide crossover stories going on.
yeah. I think that was Identity Crisis was going on then,
Yeah, and then it
which was
was
also a great run of comics. But
it is. That one got a little dark.
yeah, got a little
That
dark. But
that one I probably wouldn't recommend to a 10-year-old. The whole Dr. Light
no,
thing with
yeah,
elongated man's wife, that that
yeah,
that got that got kind of dark. Little rapey, but
a little bit.
a little bit. Um
Oh shit.
but no, but you're right. I mean, Teen Titans was a good book. Now, along those lines, again, you may have a situation where a kid in 2024 doesn't really resonate with it as well as a kid in, like, let's say the 80s. But the Wolfman Perez new Teen Titans run,
Oh yeah,
where Cyborg and Raven and was it and Starfire too? They were all introduced in that
yeah,
book. I think.
yep.
I mean, dude, that book was rivaling the X-Men in sales for a long, long
Oh
time. I
yeah,
mean, like that was a big deal book. So, and that's where so much Titans, stuff comes from, like Deathstroke and all that. So I mean, that's a big damn book.
heck yeah. I need
So
that book.
I've got the first omnibus. I don't think I have any
I
others,
need
but
first Deathstroke. I need that
oh
one in my collection.
yeah.
It's
That's
going to
is that
happen.
two or three? It's
I
it's
don't know.
it's early, but so
I
my
don't
next
remember.
one is the first trade of JLA from the Grant Morrison run. And this is the one, it's called New World Order. Barnes and Noble has it. Apparently, DC Busted just put it out as like a DC Essentials trade. So it's like the first thing. And this is like the Justice League. All right. So you got Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, Green Lantern, Flash, Aquaman, and Martian Manhunter. And this is the one where the White Martians come to Earth and are planning their invasion, and the JLA have to take down the White Martians. And this book has
Heck
one of
yeah.
the coolest Batman scenes ever. Like these white Martians have him all surrounded and they think that they've got him. And all he has to do is break out a book of matches because the Martians don't like fire. And he just goes nuts. And it's like, it's the coolest thing ever, man. I'm getting a little, it could be the fact that it's 0 degrees out right now, but I'm getting little goose pimples thinking about it. But yeah. Yeah. So no, JLA, New World Order. If you want a good Justice League story, I mean, if you go from there, it gets wacky. But that book, the New World Order, that one, that's a good book.
Or you
Yes,
just do
exactly.
it.
That specific book. Yeah, I'm not
Okay.
doing it again.
All right.
Anyway,
Caught me off guard there. I was like, what's going on?
yeah.
Oh shit.
I have one
All
more on
right.
my list for the full recommendations, and I have 3 that are like for older, like slightly older recommendations. But you can go ahead.
Okay. All right.
And if you have
So
more,
since
then feel free to throw out more.
I just wrote down a whole bunch of crap, dude.
That's all right.
So I'm just gonna go ahead and say IDW, the publishing company, in general, have a lot of great comic books for older, like small kids and like young teenagers, all the way up through teenage. Like they pick up all the properties that I loved when I was a kid, like Turtles
Say
and
they're doing a ton with
Transformers and GI Joe.
now. GI Joe and Transformers are over there with Image
There was
at Skybound
they
now,
they are now, yeah.
and they just
But the
started all
last,
that. So if anybody's into GI Joe or Transformers, like it's a good time to jump in on that.
yep. But the whole IDW run of all that stuff is great. They're re-releasing softback like trades to cover all of it. They're doing Turtles right now, so that'd be a good time to jump in there and start from the first one. They're
Um,
like 20-25 bucks for like 6 to 10 issues
that's
collected.
not
So
bad.
no,
I will say their new Star Trek stuff they've been putting out is amazing.
it looks really good.
I bought all of it, dude. It is so good,
Sweet.
so good. Um, but yeah, so no, I've been digging that. So my last one for my main list, and then after that, I'll let you go crazy, and then I'll come back to like my
Mhm.
older recommendation, like slightly more mature recommendation, not mature, but more mature than a 10-year-old recommendations. My last one is the Uncanny X-Men, specifically the ones done by Chris Claremont, Dave Cockrum, and John Byrne. So I would say start with Giant Size X-Men #1, and then Uncanny X-Men 94 through 143. You're going to be able to find all that reprinted in about 18 different ways.
Yeah.
When you're looking at, if you're on Amazon or you're at a bookstore or something like that, and you're looking, just look for the creators. You're wanting Chris Claremont, Dave Cockrum, or John Byrne. Cockrum and Byrne do the art. Chris Claremont writes it. So you want Claremont with either Cockrum or Byrne. But this is like quintessential. This is everything X-Men. This is
Oh yeah.
like quintessential X-Men. This is the Dark Phoenix saga. This is Hellfire Club. This is Sentinels. This is Savage Land. This is Fighting Magneto. This is everything the '90s X-Men cartoon was based on. This is everything. If you're a person who's anything about X-Men, you're probably thinking about something that came from these comics.
Oh yeah.
So like
Definitely so.
this is like the X-Men comic run to get. So
Oh
that's
yeah.
that's my X-Men recommendation.
Yeah. One of mine was also an X-Men like crossover story, Extinction of Jinda. That was the
Okay.
one that really got me into X-Men. Like that
Mm-hmm.
whole little period there. Because I would see those on the shelf at the grocery store and be like, man, those
That's a
guys look cool.
that's a little later than what I was,
Yep.
talking
Yep. It's
about.
later.
That's more in the '90s.
Yep.
But I remember that. Now were those are the ones that were all polybagged up and everything with the cards?
Um,
No, I'm thinking
no.
Executioner's Song.
Yeah,
Never
that's
mind. Yeah.
Executioner's Song. I did
Yep, yep,
not
yep.
enjoy that one as
Sorry.
much, but
Okay. All right.
that's okay. No, Extinction Agenda was like 88, 89 ish,
Yeah,
90.
that's what Cable was all like. New Mutants was in that. and everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
an
Okay.
X
All right.
Factor.
Yep. Yep. Okay. Yeah. No, that's a little later than what I'm talking about. You need
Yeah.
if you focus just in the giant size X-Men to Uncanny X-Men 143, that's the last issue John Byrne, did the artwork for. Um, Amazing stuff. And it is from the 70s, but that one way more so than any of the other Marvel books. That one reads contemporary even today. You sit down and you read that today, that doesn't read like a book from the 70s. I mean, some of the
No.
the clothing and the hair might seem a little 70s ish, but
All full
but
circle though. It'll come back into style if
well,
it's
that's
not
true. I was
already.
gonna say, for all I know, it's all in fashion,
Yeah.
But
Heck yeah.
anyway,
I see
yeah,
mullets
but
everywhere.
oh god, who in the world thought a mullet was a good idea?
I don't know. I don't
I
know,
mean,
man.
you'll never pull it off, but
Nope.
I mean,
Nope.
I could. I don't want to, but I
I could
could.
do a skullet.
There you go.
I could just grow it real long on the sides and
You
back.
need to grow a rat tail. Just be
No.
bald with a rat tail.
Oh, yeah, I could braid it.
Yeah,
That'd be
exactly.
awesome. I
Flip it
saw
over your
somebody with a
shoulder.
rat tail like 2 weeks ago at a
Oh
store. It's like a foot
god.
long, too.
Ah, gross.
It's
Gross.
disgusting.
Why would anybody want a hairstyle that's named after a disease carrying rodent? It's
I
like,
don't
oh
know,
man,
man.
I'm cool because I got a freaking rat tail. It's like, oh god. Ugh.
Horrible.
All right. So what else have you got on the list?
Um, uh, I got one. Well, I wrote down just random things, but one more that I want to revisit that I enjoyed for the short time that I read it was Scooby Doo Apocalypse from DC
I
Comics.
remember that book
It
actually.
was really freaking good, man.
I remember
Uh,
that book.
I want to finish it. I bought like the first 10 issues or something.
Yeah.
Apparently went
They
on
did
for a while.
they did a lot of they did that. They did a Flintstones book that was more like real to life there for a bit too.
That's cool.
Yeah. And I think there was a Snagglepuss. It was either a one shot or a series or mini series, but he was like this gay cat who like ran a theater. I mean, I'm not even joking, dude.
Okay.
Like he was Snagglepuss was a homosexual in this book. It was like,
Well,
what
I
the
mean,
hell is going on? But yeah,
it kind of
yeah.
tracks.
I mean, kinda.
Yeah.
So anyway, Scooby Doo Apocalypse, huh? Now
Yeah,
I've
I
heard
want to check it
actually
out.
for a 10-year-old, like maybe slightly younger than a 10-year-old. This might skew a little young for a 10-year-old, but there's a new book. It's like Batman and Scooby Doo where they
Yeah,
team up and do stuff and
I
everything.
saw
And I
that.
hear that's really good, actually.
I heard that as well.
So, for what it's worth, if you have a younger child who's interested in this kind of stuff, maybe look into the Batman Scooby Doo books.
Heck yeah, there you go.
Yeah. What
I'm
else you
going
got?
to. I'm kind of looking around now to see if.
All right. Well, let me throw out a couple or one of mine. So, you mentioned the Turtles earlier. This one skews a little older, but there's a video game that's been in development that's going to be coming out on this, and it's a relatively new property for the Turtles. But it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin.
Oh yeah, man, badass.
Amazing story.
Yep,
Um, and I'll just give the little elevator pitch. Basically, it's in the future, and all of the turtles and Master Splinter, all the turtles except one and Master Splinter are dead, and there's only one turtle left, and he's basically an old guy, and he's going on like a suicide mission to take down the bad guys, and it's cool because like you don't even know which turtle it is for the longest time. Like
well,
he
till the end of the first issue.
end of the first issue, I guess. Yeah, I guess that's true. At the end of the first issue,
And
find
I was
out.
in
But
denial when I got to that point. I'm like, nah,
yeah, I
but
didn't
it
think it
kind of
would be
works
that
out.
one. I didn't think it'd be that one, but that's
Yeah,
okay. The point, but he's using like all their weapons and everything. So like for that first issue, you have no idea who you're reading about. It's just a turtle,
yep,
and but they've continued on. They've done like last run of the Lost Years, and I think they're doing like a spin-off thing from it and whatever. But no, if you're
Well,
looking for like turtles, but you don't want just standard like turtles, you want something a little bit more. The Last Ronin is really good.
yep, that was, believe it or not, that's what I looked over at when
Nice.
right before you said that, and I just got the Lost Years hardcover. I have
Mm.
not read that yet, though. I hear good things.
I haven't read that one. I saw it at Barnes and Noble today, and I just didn't really feel like spending the money on that.
You know,
Um,
I learned something recently that Target is carrying a lot of trade paperback stuff.
really,
And yeah, like Amazon prices. Like
really,
that was 20 that
I
was
haven't
$20
been
at
by,
Target.
I haven't been by Target or I haven't looked at the book section in Target. I guess I should
Yeah,
say
man, they're
to know
starting to
that.
get a lot of stuff. It's pretty cool.
Interesting. I'll have to give that a look. See.
Yeah, because all their stuff, all their books are like 30% off normally at
Yeah.
Target. So I mean, they're
Huh.
gonna be a lot of prices out there.
I'll be damned. I had no idea.
Yeah.
What else you got? I got two more. So
Um,
I can go again, or you can throw something out, or I can go
go
again
for it,
while you
man.
look. All right. So along those same lines, Daredevil by Frank Miller,
Oh,
from the early '80s. Not appropriate for a 10-year-old.
no.
Um, but I think a 15-year-old would think that's
Oh
just
yeah.
bad. I mean, that is like badassery right there. I mean, you got Daredevil, you got Bullseye, you got ninjas. That's where Kingpin became like, well, this. I mean, Frank Miller turned Kingpin into the villain that he is. I mean, he was a joke before that.
Yeah.
Um, but no, Daredevil by Frank Miller. That is like one of the runs that, like, when you talk about classic comic books, that's one of them right there. And you can find that in all sorts of collections. Marvel's done a real good job of making sure that the Frank Miller Daredevil stuff's available.
Oh yeah, it's everywhere. Yeah.
Okay.
So I would say one for a small child would be The Watchmen.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah,
Not
no,
really.
I
That's
don't
that's a
believe that at
complete joke.
all,
No,
actually.
that's
Hell,
that's
I know grown ass adults that struggle to get through the Watchmen, quite frankly.
no. I am gonna say run I read a few years ago was Middle West. That was very good.
Hmm.
It's pretty awesome.
They had a collection, like an omnibus collection of that at Barnes and Noble today, and I
Oh, I need to pick that up.
it's a done in one book, and I didn't know what it was. What is that about?
Um, so it's been a few years since I read it. So I
Quick
think this
elevator
kid's
pitch.
looking for his father or something along those lines.
Okay.
And it kind of reminds me of Wizard of Oz. So he meets this fox, and the fox is kind of guiding him on his journey to find whatever he's
There was
out
a
to find.
there was a kid and a fox on the cover of
Yeah,
this book. So okay, so
yeah,
we're talking about the right book. So
it's pretty fantastical story. It's good stuff. I need to
okay,
reread it.
okay, very cool. I've gotten to probably about the middle point of my Perdomo 20th anniversary Sungrown. Just for those of you who are tuning in for cigars and not comic books, and I mean, I don't know what else to say other than it's a really great cigar. It's very the draw on it's fantastic, construction on it's fantastic. I mean, I'm enjoying it. It's one of those ones that I can smoke and just enjoy and not have to worry necessarily about anything with it. Um, it's got Nicaraguan tobacco, so it's got a little bit of spice to it, but not a ton. And just all in all, just a fantastic cigar. So anyway, there's my cigar portion.
There you go. It is a
Okay.
great cigar. I
So
love
okay,
that
so
cigar.
I've got one more on my list before I'm through. And along those same lines, and it goes right in with the Frank Miller Daredevil stuff, Batman Year One.
Oh yeah, that's
Batman
awesome.
Year One is 4 issues. You should be able to easily find that. DC keeps that out there. It's basically the expanded origin of Batman as told by Frank Miller. And the only reason that I say it probably skews a little older is because there's some themes to it that I don't know, like Catwoman's technically a streetwalker in the very beginning. You never see again, like we said, you don't see anything, you don't know. Like if you know, you know. If you don't know, you're just gonna be
Yeah.
like, oh, she lives out on the street. It's a rough part of town, but it's like you're not gonna know. But the cops, they're not fans of Batman in the beginning, so I mean, there's that, whatever. But it's basically Batman going up against the mafia and just and getting his early days going, and super awesome book, amazing
Yeah.
artwork, just a great
Oh yeah.
book. um but I'd say that maybe that would be more of a 12 to 13, maybe not so much a 10, but
Well, it
maybe a
just
10.
depends on the
I
kid
mean, you
too.
know what, I'm gonna say it that's the thing, it all depends on the kid. Maybe your kid's a really mature 10-year-old and you want to be like, hey, you want to learn about Batman's origin? Here you go. I mean, it
Yep.
came out in the Batman book in the 80s. So, I mean, it's not like it was like a segregated thing for adults when it came out. I mean, it literally was in the main Batman story or book.
Yep.
So, I mean, screw it. If that's
So
something that you're comfortable with, go for it.
I thought of one more I'm going to put out there,
Okay.
and it's kind of, you're going to have to read it first probably, and enjoy it. It's just a hilarious story. Um, is I hate Fairyland.
I was going to bring that up earlier when you were talking about Scotty Young,
Yeah,
and I
Max
didn't
loves that comic.
because I've
Loves it.
never read it. So I don't
Oh,
know.
dude,
I
it's
don't
so
know
good.
it.
Like, there's two versions. There's like I hate Fairyland, and then there's fuck Fairyland.
Oh, God.
Just full blown, like saying all the cuss words and everything. But like the idea is, and she's in Fairyland, and she's not allowed to cuss and stuff. So when she tries to, it's like muffin fluffer and stuff. So it kind of depends on how mature your kid is and everything. But
Okay.
it's a great read. Yeah, I
Okay.
like it a lot.
And she's super violent, isn't she? The
Oh
main
yeah, it's
character.
very violent,
Yeah.
but
Is it cartoony violence or is it just
it's
blood everywhere kind of violence?
cartoony blood everywhere.
Oh, so it's a mix.
Yeah, it's kind of a mix. So
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Um, I'm trying to think if there's anything that that I'm missing. I know there's stuff that I'm missing.
Oh yeah, I know there's a
Um,
ton of stuff I'm missing.
I'm looking up a book right now. I don't remember the name of it, but there's a comic about a monkey in space. Um, oh God.
Oddly enough, you're
Um,
not narrowing that down.
no, I'm not. Here it is. First in Space. It's on Amazon. It's by a guy named James Vining, Vinning. Um, and it's all about Ham, which was the chimpanzee that the Americans trained for the first suborbital flight. And it's the true story of Ham, this chimpanzee that we launched into space to be part
Huh.
of the space program, and it's told primarily through Ham's eyes, and it's got anecdotal information about this time in America's conquest of space. So if maybe you're looking for a true to life um, book about space and like a history thing and talk all about the important contributions that our chimpanzee brethren gave, then you can learn all about it in First in Space. And actually, I'm on Amazon right now. You can buy the paperback. If you buy a used version of the paperback, you can get it for literally $1.99.
Sweet.
So fantastic book. I
Oh
remember
yeah.
that from, holy shit, I think I read that 2008, maybe
Wow. I have not read that.
2007, 2008. So I mean, it's been a while, but it's a good
Well,
book.
there's a newer one about, I'm not exactly sure what all it's about, but a monkey in space is the gist of the story. But a primordial is the name of it. It's a couple years old, and I want to check that out. But I'm doubting that that's for kids.
Probably not.
Yeah,
I'm
I want
gonna.
to say it's like the Russians shoot up the first chimpanzee into space,
They did it
and
with a dog. There's a book actually
something
about
like
that
that.
dog. It's like Latka, I think is the name of the dog that the
Yeah.
Russian they had like a stray that they trained and shot up into space, and that's a sad story. I mean,
Yep. It
yeah.
is.
I mean, I don't think anything really went well for any of our animal friends that went up into space, but
No.
I can't remember how First in Space ended. That may have been sad as well. Now that I think about it.
Yeah. If it is, sorry.
Sorry. It's true to life. I mean, it
Yep. There
happened.
you go.
You know, but yeah, he
But
he
yeah,
gave his life for American exploration into space. Um. Anyway. Well, cool. This has been fun. I've liked
this is
this.
fun, man.
This is fun. All right. Well, now let's do this now. It's time for the Villiger Cigars Entertainment Report, brought to you by Villiger Cigars, one of the leading cigar and cigarello manufacturers in the world, founded in 1888 and still family owned and operated. Head over to villigercigars.com and check the store locator to find a shop near you that carries them. We guarantee that Villiger Cigars will be a wonderful addition to your humidor and cigar rotation. It is so flipping cold in this tent, even with that heater. I
Oh, I
mean, like
bet, dude.
it
I don't know how
it's
you're
not
doing it.
well, it's not so bad. It's just that like I can't get my feet warm. And like my feet are right by the thing, but it's my toes. My toe, it's not so much the whole foot, just my toes. That might
Yeah,
be the
you should look
diabetes.
into some of the click flooring,
It might
like
be
for
the diabetes.
garages,
I know. I know. I don't
because
have
it has
diabetes.
an air pocket in it, and
Yeah.
that might help you out.
Mm, I've thought about that. I Gervais does flooring in his tent, and I have never put the first year that I had this, I had it on my deck at my old house, and I put a painter's tarp down, and that blocked the air from coming in from underneath the
Yeah.
slats. But I wasn't directly on the ground; I was on a deck, raised deck, and that helped a lot. I think since then I've been on the concrete slab of my driveway, and
Oh,
I don't put anything down. And I think that's the problem. I think I need to get a mat or something
anything.
that I anything that I can put down where my feet are at, because I'm right now my feet are just on the driveway,
Yeah.
and it's cold as F. But anyway, so Villiger Entertainment Report. What have you been watching?
Oh man, I've been
This is the
watching a lot of stuff.
recommendation show. This is fun.
Yes. So there's quite a few things we've been watching actually. Now that the season is upon us. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
this kind of goes along with the kid aspect, you know.
Okay.
So we just finished the Goosebumps series on Disney Plus,
Oh,
and
okay.
it was freaking awesome. We
Cool.
loved it. Like it's a little older. Like my 10-year-old watched it, and I'm sure, this is like everyday life now, but you know what for us might have been, a little too much is probably not for kids nowadays in
Yeah,
some of those aspects. You know what I'm talking about. But
I gotcha.
dude, Justin Long's in it,
Okay.
and he's fantastic. And
Did he get
all the
turned into a
kids,
walrus?
not this time,
Okay, that's good.
no, but dude, his
So
acting
he
in this
got over
show
it, is
is
what you're telling
absolutely, yeah,
me.
yeah, he recovered.
He recovered from the walrus incident.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
go check
no,
out Tusk if you guys don't know what I'm talking about. It's a
yes,
movie, Tusk.
you probably don't need to check out Tusk,
I mean,
but
you could.
maybe you might
I think
like
it'd be.
it.
I think it'd be
Yeah, you
funny as
could.
shit. Bunch of people checking
Yeah.
out Tusk, and they're like, "What is wrong with Miller?"
Yeah, that's a rough one, man. And I'm
Yeah,
a Kevin Smith fan. That was a
dude,
rough one.
I had no idea what I was getting into going into that movie, and it did not. It just went all kinds of play, and then freaking what's his name? Johnny Depp's in it, and I'm like, "Is that Johnny Depp?" It's like, holy
Yeah.
crap! I mean, it. That was a weird movie. Anyway,
Yes. Oh yeah.
so okay, I'm sorry. That was my Justin
That's
Long
okay.
diversion.
Yep. No, that show was very good.
Okay.
I like it a lot. And another new one we have started and finished the first season of is Poker Face. That's
Oh,
freaking good.
Dave Garofalo was talking about that and how much he
Yeah,
really liked that show.
that's good shit. I can't wait till the next season.
That's got that
It's good stuff.
comedian, that redheaded comedian lady, right?
She's from American Pie.
I think so. Yes, yes, I think
Yeah,
you're right. Yeah.
that's where I know her from. One of those movies. I don't know.
Okay.
Either American Pie or Road Trip or something like that.
I think it was American Pie. I think she was the
I'm pretty sure.
one of the friends. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I saw Road Trip was actually trending on, was it HBO Max or Netflix? One of the, it was in the top 10 movies being watched at the time.
Wow.
I was like, Road Trip.
I need
Anyway.
to have my 15-year-old watch that. It was an awesome movie.
Oh God,
Loved it.
I liked that movie a lot. The freaking he sends back the French toast, and the guy just defiles that French toast. It's good.
Oh man.
Oh shit. Um, I watched. I I've watched a couple of things lately. I want to start with. I was laying in bed the other night, and I I just wanted a movie on. I didn't want anything specific, and I ended up turning on Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Dude, I haven't watched that in so long. It's such a ridiculous movie,
Oh yeah.
but it was a lot of fun to revisit Bill and Ted's. It's like,
Uh,
something strange is afoot at the Circle K, or strange things are afoot at the Circle K.
that's
I just,
awesome.
and I've got Circle K's all around here, so I say that all the damn time. Like, strange things are afoot at the Circle K. Oh
That's
God.
awesome. Yeah, I
Mm.
watched some docu series on Netflix, and I was trying to find the name of it. I don't
Yeah.
remember what it was. It's like about the they took a bunch of sets of twins and
Okay.
they like split them. It was like 21 sets of twins, and they split them. One would eat vegan, and one would eat omnivore diet,
Okay.
and like to see what the true effects would be in changing a diet, just because people change so
Well, then that would
drastically
be a
one to the
good way
other.
of doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was, man. I watched all 4 episodes like in a row,
So
and
are you
it
going
was.
vegan after watching it?
I'm definitely going to veer more towards that, which I personally do
As
anyway.
a
I eat a lot of.
barbecue guy, you're gonna be
Yeah, I mean,
veering
believe it
vegan,
or
huh?
not, yeah, believe it or not, I eat a lot of vegetables, and really, what I have trouble cutting out is cheese, and that
Mm.
was one of these pairs of twins' weakness as well. And they went into the explanation of that. It's like cheese releases the same endorphins that like crack does. It just makes you feel all warm and fuzzy inside. So
Interesting.
yeah, that was a big problem for them to give up. But
So did they get these twins as adults, or did they get them as
yeah,
kids and raise
they're
them
they're
as?
all like 21 and over,
Okay, okay.
all the pairs. But like, there's some that are like 60. There's some that are 21.
So
There's
the
some that
ones
are
that
in
were
shape.
turning vegan, they knew what they were missing.
Yeah, like they're
Okay.
in. They're all in on it. Like,
Okay. All
they
right.
one of them draws. They have two cards. One of them draws the all vegan diet. And
Interesting.
the most interesting part of the whole thing is they'll cut away and like interview farmers and restaurants and all kinds of stuff. But
Yeah.
they the one that really got to me was a chicken farmer, and he was showing his like operation, and he did it for like 16 years. And 5 or 6 years ago, he said he woke up and picked up like 19 dead chickens as he was walking through, and like they were just like oozing and dripping
Yeah.
infections because there was it was a crazy number. It was like 180,000 chickens or something in X amount of years that he raises, one on top of the other.
Mm-hmm.
And, he's walking through and it's just white with chickens. And they'll all scatter. And, you just got to pick the dead ones up as you go. And
Oh my
every day,
God.
yeah, it's disgusting, man. And The other one that was rough was a place in like South Carolina, I think it was, like the number one hog producing county in the
Yeah.
United States. It is just gross. Like they have
Okay.
these ponds dug and they're purple, like
Oh.
because it's just like piss and shit, and it's
Uh,
like a constant chemical, concoction going on. And they take this and they funnel it out into the fields and spray it in the fields, and like the wind carries it into these people's homes. Like, and they were testing like their refrigerator and their stovetop, and it was all coming back positive for this like specific
like
crap that
poo
lives in the
poo slurry.
poop. Yeah,
Uh,
it was pretty alarming, man.
okay. Okay.
Like,
Um, well, I didn't watch
gross.
anything nearly that intellectual. I did finish Barry, which I did enjoy the end of that. I kind of feel like it went a season too long. I kind of think that Barry could have been wrapped up in the third season. I kind of feel like that fourth season was it kind of drug a little bit. I wasn't nearly as engaged in the fourth season as I was the first three. But it was all in all a really good show. So if you're interested in that, it's Barry on HBO Max. And then the other thing I watched is I watched the most recent season, so season 16 of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia,
I've never
which
watched that show, believe it or not.
oh God, I love that show, dude. They did
I
this one
know.
episode, Frank versus Russia, in this season, where like Charlie like signs Frank up for this one chess competition because if you make it to the last round, you play against this Russian grandmaster. And Charlie was like, "This is an American national security thing. We got to beat this guy." And so, like, they had this whole plan where Charlie was wearing these glasses that had a camera built in that would relay to a van out in the parking lot where Charlie's uncle was playing a chess game on the computer, so that he could like give the move to Frank as to what to do. And so Frank had a restaurant buzzer in his pocket, and they would buzz him to tell him like how to move the pieces. And dude, he made it all the way to the final. And I'm probably ruining this, but it's so damn funny. But there's a subplot going on in the same episode where Mac is talking about this guy Johnny that he's uh, in love with and wanting to follow because Mac apparently is gay now, and or he's been gay in the show for a while now. But like he somehow or another, he's never met Johnny, never talked to Johnny in person, only gotten text messages. But Johnny apparently somehow or another managed to shove a vibrating like butt bead up his butt, and that's how Johnny would communicate with him. Is he would send a vibration. And he would send the vibration. And when Matt got that, he was like, I got to drop everything and go to the hotel to meet Johnny. But Johnny never showed up.
Oh.
And it's because what would end up happening, I'm just going to ruin this, is Dennis, Mac's roommate, whenever he would get tired of Mac being in the apartment, he was Johnny. He created Johnny. And whenever he wanted to get Mac out of the apartment, he would buzz him to like get him out of the apartment so that he could be alone for a while. Or like one time, Johnny, quote unquote, sent Mac a text message saying, "Soft shell crabs sound really good. They're my favorite." And so then Matt goes and gets soft shell crabs. Johnny ghosts him. Matt comes home and he's all depressed. And, Dennis is like, "Hey, man, I'll eat the soft shell crabs with you," because Dennis wanted fucking crabs, evidently,
That's
right?
awesome.
So anyway, they
That's some shit
realize,
Travis would do.
dude, oh, I know. But anyway, the long and short of it, I won't ruin the full thing, but they get to the last round and Frank can't use the restaurant buzzer anymore. So they have to figure out how to get the messages to Frank. And you can put two and two together and realize where these two plots come together. And it's some of the funniest shit. Danny DeVito's just like playing chess, just over there going like, just buzzing because his fucking butt it's just going nuts in his ass. And he doesn't know it's there because D roofied him so they could put it in because they knew Danny DeVito wasn't going to be on board with, a butt. It was, dude, it's the funniest shit. I'm telling you, that was
I need
one
to
of my
check that out.
That's a good episode right there. But yeah, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, dude. I love that show. It's not for everyone. It's about five just horribly wretched people doing horribly wretched shit to each other and other people. But oh my god, I think it's funny as shit.
That's great.
Yep.
Oh man, I'll
So
tell
that's
you
what
what
I've
else
been
I
watching.
watched.
Okay.
And it's Echo,
Mm.
Marvel series, and it is so freaking good, man.
Oh, we're on comic books again. I have not watched that yet. It's been on my
Dude,
list. My lady friend was over this weekend, and so we I didn't want to go all super nerd, and I don't know what she's watched, so I didn't want to get into like because Echo, that was part of the Hawkeye show.
yeah,
Yes, and so this is a spinoff from the Hawkeye show and
yeah,
Daredevil, but
yes,
I haven't watched. I
the
haven't watched
direct
it yet.
sequel of Daredevil and Hawkeye.
Okay.
So, yeah. Excuse me, still getting over this crap, man. But dude, it's freaking
I
just
I've heard
as
good
good.
things.
It Nothing's been as good as Daredevil on Netflix since Daredevil on Netflix.
Yeah.
The Punisher, maybe I love that too, but
There
like,
was one season of that I thought was better than the other.
yeah, the first season was better than the second,
Yeah, I think so.
but I think it was supposed to be a bridge into more, and then they
Yeah.
canned it and whatever. But I've liked the Marvel shows mostly so far. You know, they're
Hawkeye was
all
really good. I really
Hawkeye
liked
was really
Hawkeye.
good. Yep. The only one I didn't like was Secret Invasion. I didn't
Yeah.
care for that much. The rest of them have been fine, but this one is right in the same tone as Daredevil. It's just kicking ass. Just
Well, and
good shit.
correct me if I'm
Good
wrong.
shit.
This is one that's like TVMA, right? This is more of an adult Marvel show. This is not a like kid kind
Yes,
of Marvel
but
show.
there's no like there's nothing except violence.
Mm-hmm.
Really.
Mm-hmm.
There's no cussing, there's no like sexual stuff just to have it in there or anything. It's
Yeah.
just, if your kid can handle some fake violence, it's fine.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
But dude, it's good. Like, there's I'm not telling you anything that you haven't seen in the trailer,
Yeah.
but Daredevil's in it for like, a very short amount of time, and it is just spectacular.
Nice.
Good shit. You
Cool.
gotta watch it, dude.
Oh, it's on my list. But now apparently I also have to check out Lock and Key. So
Yeah, Lock and Key's really good.
okay.
It's a great family show. I like it a lot. Your
All
kid
right.
might like that one.
Well, my kid, it's very narrow window of interest, man. It's like it's got to fit some real time. We sat down and we watched the Clifford movie, the live action Clifford movie, because he loves the
Yeah,
Clifford cartoon and the
yeah,
Clifford books and this and that and whatever. And he was all right with it, but like when Clifford was on the screen, he was cool. But like when it was the people, there was no interest whatsoever. So I mean, like
yeah.
it's got to really like hold his interest and
It could.
yeah.
He might. There's like the main kid in Lock and Key is around that age, so and he's a good actor too. So it's pretty easy for kids to latch onto that one.
Okay.
Good stuff.
Well, very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I did the MMC ad while you were figuring out your ear or AirPods there and
Yeah.
everything. What else do I need to touch on? Socials wise, I'm available on Instagram at the Cigar Pulpit. I'm also available on Facebook where we have the Pulpit Parishioners group. You can get in on the fun there. You can find me on Twitter/X. I don't really do much there. At some point, I'm going to have to. YouTube, where you can watch this. And I do still have time in January to get that first newsletter out. I swear it'll come out in January.
We'll see. We'll see.
No, it will. It will. I just need, well, yeah, you and I need to talk about that.
Yeah.
but anyway, no, that'll come. And so if you're not on the newsletter list, head on over to cigarpulpit.com, which I need to update that as well. And I swear there's a lot of work for a free podcast.
Yeah, no joke.
It's a lot of work. But anyway, head on over there and you can sign up for the newsletter. I won't spam your inbox. I mean, hell, I mean, I'm struggling to get it going, much less actually get it out on a regular basis. So we'll see. But anyway, so yeah, got that going on. And where can
Yeah.
people follow you?
They can follow me at Red Banana Art by David Clark for my personal stuff, and of course, Smoking Butts and Tappin Ash podcast and Facebook group, which we're kind of in the dead of winter, so I know that's not going to be super active. But
This is a
spring is
good
right
time for
around the
people
corner.
to practice other cooking skills aside from barbecuing and grilling.
Yeah.
This is a time
Yes.
for you to branch out and perhaps try your hand at baking, or maybe
That's
making
right.
some of the sides that you would like to make, with the oven and stovetop, things of
Yeah.
that nature. This is a good time to
Yeah.
be practicing other things and also looking into different perhaps rubs and methods and things of that you want to try when the weather breaks
Yep.
and gets nicer. So,
Absolutely.
this is the prep
Stock up
time
the
for you
collection.
guys. Yeah, this is not the time to be. This is not the time to sit that back on your butt and do nothing. This is the prep
That's
time.
right.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Everybody posts their pictures on the page.
There you go. Well, very
Recipes,
cool.
whatever.
Very cool.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Well, Dave, I want to thank you. I know that this episode may not have been everybody's cup of tea because, if you're not a comic book person, then maybe this has just been an hour and a half of two nerds sitting around talking about books they like, and you may not have an interest in it whatsoever. But that's the nice thing about me doing this twice a week is if you don't like this one, wait until Friday, and I'll be back with another one, and we'll see
Hey, what I'll
what
add
that
to
brings.
that is, you may not think you like comic books, but
Mm-hmm.
chances are your favorite show or movie in the last 20 years is probably based on a comic book.
Right? There's quite a
Odds
few
are
things
odds
out
are in
there.
our favor.
Uh-huh.
My dad is like anti-comics, always has been. If you tell him it's a comic book, anything, I'm not watching that shit.
Yeah.
But he loved Road to Perdition.
Which is a comic.
Like,
I was just sitting here
which
thinking
is
Road
a
to Perdition.
fantastic movie.
Yep.
And as soon as he found that out, he's like, whatever.
Uh-huh.
But he also liked
Well,
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen,
which is
which
an
I also
awesome
had to break
comic.
to him that it was a
The
comic book.
movie was
Yeah,
okay, but the
yeah,
comic is great. And
yeah. It
and I'll
is.
tell you, that actually brings up an interesting point. So everybody's on and on about, oh, Mickey Mouse is in the public domain. We can use Steamboat Willie now and everything. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. I'll beat that
Right.
drum one more time. But the other thing I'll say is that League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is a good example of how to use a group of public domain characters in a new and fresh way that it doesn't come across as we're using it just because we can. It's
Yep.
like that was a good use of public domain characters where yeah, you can do cool stuff with Captain Demo and the Invisible Man and Mr. Hyde, and Quartermain, and you can have fun with it, and it doesn't have to be just a retread of what we all know. You know,
Right.
I
Yep.
feel like I feel like with Mickey Mouse, it's going to end up being a lot of retreads of stuff we know.
Oh, it's gonna be like super shock
Well, that's
entertainment in your
yeah.
face.
It's
Like,
oh look, it's a slasher movie and Mickey's the slasher. It's like
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
I don't I don't know. That's unoriginal and no fun. It's like
Yep.
let's figure out something. If you and to be honest, I don't even personally think if you don't have something really truly original and badass to say with a character that's in the public domain, don't use the public domain because
Right.
it's like I come up with your own character. Do something cool with something new. Why are you just taking something that's old and rehashing it? Like just come up with again, just because it's there doesn't mean you have to use it. You do something original. I think that's so much better, you
That's
know?
that's actually my main pet peeve with comic books in general is
Yeah.
they take what's already there and then they have to twist it and change it to suit today's climate or whatever. Make
Well,
something new.
so
We
I'll
all
say
want new characters.
I'll say okay, so we can get down that road for just a split second. You said that Miles Morales is one of your favorite new characters of the last 20 years.
Yes.
I can make a solid argument that Miles Morales is just a re-envisioning of Spider-Man, Peter Parker, and it is what it is, you know. Now they've taken that character and they've done different things to him and they've made him an original character, albeit a photocopy of Peter Parker, you know. I mean, he
Right.
started from a very unoriginal place and turned
Yes.
into an original character.
Right.
But, you know, but there are plenty of characters that never make it beyond that unoriginal place. And basically it's like, oh, look, now we have 4 characters that have Green Lantern rings, you know,
Yeah.
and that sort of thing. And so it's like, yeah, you know, you gotta, if you don't have anything good to say original, maybe don't spin that character. Just find a way to use the character that's already there. But
I agree.
or you know, come up with something new, completely new, and see what that gets you.
Yes. Oh yeah. That's really why I buy strictly independent comic books anymore. I don't know the last time I bought a DC or a Marvel book because
Well,
they're in the constant loop. You know, I've already read all this stuff
they're
that's coming
corporate
out.
comics. They are.
Yeah.
They're comic. The Marvel and DC comics of today are not the Marvel and DC comics of the 70s and the 80s and even the 90s, where they were doing more original stuff.
Right.
The 90s, I would say, is kind of like, because that was starting to get into the retready kind of stuff, you know. But
But yeah.
especially the 70s and the 80s, I mean, those comics are badass. But again, they may not appeal to readers of today. But that's where a lot of the shit that everybody likes today is coming. When you look at the Marvel movies and the Marvel TV shows, what are they based on? They're based on stories that were coming out in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. They're
Yep.
not based on comics that are coming out from, with the exception maybe the Hawkeye book that I was talking about from Matt Fraction with that TV show. By and large, all that stuff is based on old stuff. You know?
Yep. I agree, man.
Mm-hmm. Well, fun. Well,
Good
final
times.
thought on my Perdomo 20th anniversary here. Fantastic smoke. My burn line is a little wonky, but I think there's a breeze coming into my tent from somewhere here. I'm feeling a little chill, and my burn line is just a little off. So I'm thinking that has something to do with like a draft or something coming in. I'm feeling something from behind me, so I'm wondering if the tent like got knocked into somehow or another and is like up slightly, like at the base, to where there's like a little draft at the foot.
Yeah,
I'll have to
it
check
could
that.
also be that it's single digits outside.
That's true. As I sit here and I'm recording, let's just do a real quick weather update as I sit here and record. It is currently, well, it says 8 degrees in Freeburg, Illinois. However, with the wind and whatnot, the current feels like temperature is -5. So, yeah, it's cold. It's cold as shit. But Wednesday, we're looking at a balmy 36 degrees. So, you know,
nice.
I might break out the shorts.
There you go, bud.
Get out the kilt, you know, just celebrate the beginning of the nice weather. Right.
Yeah.
No. Then 36 might be a little cold for the kilt. Freeze the Franken beans.
It'll wake you up.
Freeze the Franken beans. We don't need that. So,
it's about
anyway,
medicine time.
There you go. Well, Dave, I really want to thank you again for your time. And Rino, hopefully this gave you a whole lot of reading material that you can look into for your son.
I hope so too.
Yep. Well, guys, this has been another sermon from the Cigar Pulpit. I'm Nick.
I'm Dave.
Everybody stay safe and stay smoky.
When are you going to change your music, Nick?
This one's okay.
It lasts like 7 minutes.
It's a little long because the old one I was able to start a lot earlier. This one I because I have to start it a little later. But I also forgot there's one more segment, and I didn't have that turned up all the way. There's one more segment, and so guys, I'm gonna end the episode with Pinky's fun fact. So everybody enjoy.
Here we go.
Hey, it's your girl Pinky. Ready for a fun fact? Don't piss off a skunk that's hanging around your backyard. If it decides to aim and fire, it'll be impossible to outrun because a skunk can shoot liquid from its anal glands for up to 15 feet. This has been Pinky, and I'll be back next time with more fun facts.